are things that don't work. The people insist that those are the ways forward. I said, well, let's think about it properly. My training as an economist means that, we're supposed to work with so many variables. And the trick of getting it right in economics, given that human beings are not machines and we're not chemicals, so you cannot talk about human beings and put a QED at the end and say, QED, I don't know whatever that means in science or Latin, that it will always work out this way. Human beings will surprise you. And that's our wiring as economists, okay? So I try to cut through what will work and what will not work. So I said we should look at this anti-corruption thing differently, and of course we should ban corruption, but of course we cannot be fixated on pursuing who stole what without growing the economy. It also stands for China, that we should look at the Chinese strategy, how were they able to emerge. Also stands for courage, and they say that without courage, all other virtues lose their meaning. And R stands for that we have to be realistic and reasonable. U stands for unity, S stands for strategy. We have to have a proper strategy. U for unity is perhaps the most important. Without unity, when some people are pulling, some people are pushing, you may not go so far. H stands for humility, it stands for history, it stands for hard work. E stands for education, to look at it in a different way. With education that is productive, not just about getting certificates. And D stands for democracy, that in spite of the fact that the democracy we have adopted may be very expensive, but I was urging that we can also tweak it to work for us. The second book is The Things to Do Before Your Career Disappears, somewhere down there. And that one basically just looked at the issue of science, technology, and the future for Nigeria and for Africa, in fact, for the world, to say, careers are changing. At that time, that's about 10 years ago or more, I felt, things are changing so rapidly, more than 10 years ago, and that it was going to catch up with us if we are not careful, and that's for that. And the next one was Race for Capital. When I wrote that one, it was about, there's a gentleman that wrote a book called, a Frenchman, what's his name again? And he wrote about capital in the 21st century, to say that, things were changing and that they realized that the reward for labor for 200 years had plateaued. People are not being paid as much as capital is being paid. There's a divergence between the reward for capital and the reward for labor. I started looking at, okay, so who is getting the capital? If capital was the real thing, which countries are getting the capital, which ones are not? And I also tried to redefine the whole concept around factors of production, which we were taught. The factors of production were land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. But where does technology stand? What about information? What about knowledge? That we need to think broadly in terms of these issues for national development. The next one was change is going to come. In that one, I was looking at ways of creating employment. It was on the verge of Buhari coming in. I had some ideas, and those ideas are still relevant. The next one will be revolution of ideas. A lot more ideas in terms of economics and society are in there. And then the new ones that we're talking about today are 10 reasons why entrepreneurship strategy has failed in Nigeria and what we can do about it. Actually, that is my PhD dissertation. I just try to dumb it a bit down to make it not sound too academic, but I usually like the most difficult chapter in any of those jobs, which is the literature review. I think I did a good work on the literature review, looking at different aspects of it. Another one is this one on COVID. I documented what happened in that era and all the conspiracies and all. Some of those things I mentioned are now coming up in society. People are now saying, oh, so this is what happened. Oh, this is what happened. And even though you may call it a controversial book, I'm glad I documented it. So then also we're looking today at The Madness in the Heart of Man. That one is just I just used that catchy title, but essentially it's something that captures some of my sociological, socio-psychological write-ups in recent times. In the year 1720, when Isaac Newton lost 20,000 pounds in what they call the South Sea Bubble. The South Sea Bubble was a scenario where some guys were going to South America and they wanted to go and colonize the place. What they didn't know was that the Spanish people had already colonized the whole of South America, okay? So the whole idea flopped, but Isaac Newton had invested money, and 20,000 pounds then is probably like maybe 200 million pounds today. And the man said, because Isaac Newton was an astronomer, a theologian, a philosopher, he was everything. Now those people they call polyglots. And he said, from where I sit, I can tell the movement of the stars, but not the madness in the heart of man. And so that's why I use that one. So that no matter the economics we are arguing and all of that, I think the last one is you better tell your side of the story, and that's my autobiography. Well, I'm 52. I started thinking to myself, what is the best age to write an autobiography? Or is it just better not to write anything? Many big men in Nigeria have gone and come, and they didn't document anything. Maybe they are smarter than me, but I think it's good for us to document our lives as a way of showing praise to Almighty God, okay? To document our lives. You may say, oh, let me get to 70. What if you don't get to 70? That means you are taking for granted every breath you take. All of us slept last night, we woke up today. How many seconds, how many breaths did we draw? In and out, in and out. And we've seen someone that where they stand, they just fall and die. It's not because they are full of sin. So I felt that, okay, 52, an unlikely age, but why can't I document what I can remember? I mean, we have people who, you don't have to die. What if you have dementia, Alzheimer's, all of those things? So that's just my own way of thinking. I may be wrong. So I want to say that also we should also take that, think about it. I think that the more we write, the better for our society. I think that's it. So please, I'll be running along. But before I do, yes, support us in this work we're doing. It's not easy to write, publish, and all of that stuff. Please don't leave. I'll be monitoring the events even from wherever I am. And I've seen some very important people coming. Alga Mohammed Rislanuddin, I see you just came in. So many other people have just come in. Mr. David of CBN, I think is you I'm seeing, okay. And please, I want to indulge you to invite my family to the rostrum here. My wife, Mrs. Dorothy Fasua, my daughter, Shania, son, Joshua, daughter, Isabella. Know that that's the pillar behind whatever it is you see me doing. And God has been kind to us that at least we're still alive and surviving and weathering the storm. Thank you very much, okay? And I'll take a picture with them, or you have something. Okay, you know what? Whatever you want to say it when I'm gone. I don't do well with those tribute stuff, But please, I'd like to take a picture with them, and maybe I can take a quick picture with some of us here, and then I'll actually be gone out of here in the next maximum 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Photographers, where do you want them to stay?